Hi everyone, how are you? Margaret here. It's been almost a year. November 17th will be no Suboxone. Yay! And I'm here just to give you an update to let you know how I'm doing. It's been, it's it's a difficult road to hoe, the sobriety gig. I shouldn't call it a gig. It's a way of life. I've been pretty much using since I was 16 years old. So, like, pretty much anytime anything was awful, break up with someone, somebody steals something from me, lose a job, lose a family member, I would always blunt and pretty much bludgeon all of my feelings of pain with opiates. I have to say, I love opiates. I would use them right now if they still worked for me. Very first time I used opiates, I was like 25 years old, and I was working in a bar in LA. I was trying to be a professional dancer, and I worked in this bar, and there was a lot of drunks, old guys, really sad, and this was before there was sexual harassment laws or rules. Although there's probably not really a hell of a lot of them in bars anyway. But I think women still get treated better than we did in the 80s, and it was difficult. And I just remember getting very angry and always wanting to tell guys off. And then actually I did start telling people off. I started getting snippy with customers and saying, fuck you, how dare you talk to me like that, blah, blah, blah. And almost getting fired for my mouth. And my boss told me, like, you can't be talking back to these customers. And so I was just about ready to get fired, and this guy gave me a Vicodin. And it was amazing how it turned my snippy, angsty, bitchy attitude. All of a sudden I became like this, like, hostess with the mostest. I just fell in love with everyone there. And I became this very kind, very generous, compassionate person. And my boss, I remember him, pulling me aside and saying, "You're doing great. Whatever you're doing, keep it up." And the funny thing about it is that I was, like, whatever you're doing, keep it up. Well, keep up doing Vicodin. So I learned very early on that I could take Vicodin or any kind of opiate, and I could become a warm and fuzzy person that loved everyone. And so that was probably what kept me doing opiates for so long, was that I wanted to get along with people. Now that I am no longer taking opiates, I have to learn how to get along with people without that. And it is not easy. It is not easy. And plus I suffer from depression. And there's some days that I get into these black holes that I just, right now I'm not working. So I sometimes I spend like 2 or 3 days at home just watching Netflix, boom, 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 because I can't deal being around people. But I do get out of it, and I do get back on that horse again and try again, but I still do not pick up. And I want to address some of the comments that I've had. In one of them is that my first video, I said, going cold turkey. It's not as hard as you may think it is. And yes, I did go cold turkey. And I've gotten people write in and say things like, how dare you say that? That's very wrong. That's dangerous. You're thinking about going cold turkey on Suboxone is not a good idea. And people, are complaining, saying that I'm giving the wrong kind of advice. And I just want to clear something up. First of all, it was never my idea to go cold turkey. It was the doctor's idea. First of all, I went to rehab because I tried to do the slow taper that my Suboxone doctor gave me, and I couldn't do it. And part of the reason I'm doing this video vlog or whatever they call them, is that I know that there's people out there that have got to be like me. There has got to be people that have tried to do slow taper and can't do it. And so then we're faced with, well, if we can't do a slow taper, then maybe we should just go cold turkey and boom, get it over in a couple weeks and be done. And it does seem like it is like insurmountably impossible. It does. It really does. And that's what kept me from not doing it for so long. But when I did go to the rehab, I thought that the doctors were going to be like, not very, like in 3 or 4 months tapering me, but perhaps, that they would taper me down in like a 2 or 3 week period. But no, they took me off from 16 milligrams the first day to 0, and that was it. And they believed that that was the best way to do it, was just to get it over with, get it done with. Because, I mean, for me, the long taper was kind of agonizing. It wasn't as painful as doing the cold turkey, but it's still painful. And they just said, you know, the doctor said that they believe it's a myth. This idea that if you go cold turkey, that you will somehow upset the chemical balances in your brain so much to the point that you will suffer long-term consequences like depression and anxiety. They said that that is not true. That your brain is going to heal in the same way whether or not you go cold turkey or if you do a slow taper. So it was, first of all, anybody that writes in again, it was not my idea to go cold turkey. It was the doctor's. And the second thing is a lot of people are getting frustrated that I wrote that benzos is a good med to use. Once again, not my idea. It was the doctor's. The doctors knew that I had a serious benzo problem before, but they still prescribed it for me. And it was, you know, to me, it's indispensable, a benzo, because for me, the withdrawal, the worst part of withdrawal for me was the anxiety. You know, the hot and cold feeling, the sweats, the insomnia, the restless leg, the stomach ache, the throwing up, the diarrhea, all that stuff was like, somehow I just got used to it. But that anxiety, that was the worst feeling, because I felt like it was like a protracted panic attack that just wouldn't go away. And thank God that they would, you know, give me the Valium or the Klonopin or the Xanax. So the primary reason I'm doing these videos is for people that cannot go to rehab and have to detox themselves off Suboxone. And by the way, a lot of rehabs now are not even taking people that are on Suboxone. They tell you have to do it by yourself. So if you try to slow taper and you can't do it and you want to go cold turkey, you can do it at home. And all you got to do is have the same meds that I had in rehab, which is Imodium for your stomach, gabapentin for the restless leg, that really, really helps a lot, and a benzo, Xanax, Valium, Klonopin for anxiety. You shouldn't take the benzo for more than 10 days. Get off it as soon as possible, because it is very addictive. And so, but after that, we have then the round 2, which I explained before in my other videos, of the you know, depression and anxiety. And but you just have to keep reminding yourself that it, you know, it's chemical. Your body is, you know, your brain is so chemically compromised. You know, we have basically stopped our own production of endorphins, opioids, our own natural opioids. We've shut them down by using these exogenous opiates, and it takes a long time for those our own endorphins to start working again. And in the meantime, we're gonna be very depressed, and we're gonna be very anxiety ridden. And you just have to accept it and go with it and be gentle with yourself. You know, like if all you can do is do the dishes one day, that's okay. You know what I'm saying? And also, if you're going to go cold turkey, there's no way you can work. So you're going to have to take at least 5 or 6 days off work. And a lot of people say, oh, I can't do that. I'm like, well, then you probably shouldn't go cold turkey. You should probably try to do a slow taper. And if you can't do the slow taper and you got to go cold turkey, well, you're going to have to find a way to take 5 or 6 days off work. And I really don't think there's any job out there that would not let you do that. And I also hear from a lot of people that they've got kids. Well, if you got kids, you know, get some help. There's got to be someone who could help you with your kids. You know, I mean, a next door neighbor. If you went to an AA meeting, NA meeting, people would definitely come and help you. They could bring you food. They'll help you get through this. Because do you really want to be on Suboxone for the rest of your life? I mean, Suboxone is it's a very, very effective tool to get off the serious heroin and OxyContin, but to be chained to Suboxone, no. I mean, Suboxone, maybe 2 or 3 months is fine, but after that, I mean, what's the point? There is no point to be on it. You know, all it does is make you feel, well, put it this way. Oops, lost my light here. Hold on a second, folks. Okay, here we are. If we don't take it, you're going to get very, very sick. You're going to get mentally and physically very, very sick if you don't take it. If you do take it, guess what? You're just normal. Well, you can be normal without the medication, and you don't have to be chained to it anymore. And for me, at the end, Suboxone was doing a lot more harm than it was doing good for me. I was getting more depressed, I was getting more anxiety ridden, and the only way I would feel better is when my doctor, my Suboxone doctor, kept telling me, you need to go up. You know, I was on 8. He said, you need to go to 16. And I realized, yeah, if I went to 16, I did feel better. My anxiety and depression would clear up. But where do you go from there? Up to 32 is the ceiling. And I'd already been on 32 milligrams once before a long time ago, and that was nightmarish. And I did not want to go through that again. You know, like the more you're on, the harder it is to get off. And so, really, try to get off it. Just like I said, just take my advice. Take the time off from work. Get the meds. Get a doctor. A lot of you I know say, oh, I can't afford a doctor. Come up with $150 somehow to just to go to see a doctor once, so you can get the scripts, so that, you know, and stay home while you're withdrawing. Watch lots of movies, take lots of baths, you'll be okay. And as far as, like, you know, long term, it's like you have to start all over again. You really do. But it's kind of exciting in a way too, because you're kind of reborn and you get to be a new person. And it's hard dealing with people sober. It's very, very difficult. And I've had some really, really difficult times, but I've gotten through every single one of them. And people actually, you know, people are a lot kinder than I actually thought they were. When I was using, I was very cynical. And being sober, I realized people are not so bad after all. And I tell you, I have cravings all the time. I mean, I live like 5 miles away from Mexico. I live in San Diego. And it's very, you know, I could get OxyContin anytime because the pharmacies are open day and night. But I choose not to. And you know the reason why? It's because I know that if I went down and got an OxyContin, I'd feel good. In fact, I'd feel better than I felt all year. I would feel immensely euphoric. But guess what would happen after that? I'd feel so good that I'd want to do it again, right? You know, that feeling would just be too good that I just have to do it again. So I would start chipping. This is, you know, we all know what chipping is, right? When you use once in a while. So I'd start using once in a while. And I'd start going down to Mexico maybe once a month. Is it like a tree, you know? And then I'd probably start going once a week. And then it'd be once every it'd be like twice a week. And then it'd be every other day. And then pretty soon it would be every day. And then I'd get to the point where I wasn't even getting high anymore. There was no more euphoria. It was just nodding out and taking, you know, OxyContin so I wouldn't get sick. And that's horrible. And then having to go back on Suboxone again and go, no. So, you know, having a support group really, really does help. You don't have to believe everything they tell you in AA and NA, you know, and praying, even though I'm not really religious, praying does help. You know, you can make it really, and it can be frustrating though, because I mean, right now we're in the midst of an opiate crisis, an opiate epidemic, and so we're not alone. You know, remember that we're not alone. And but you know, but it's funny because a lot of people just don't get it. They don't understand it. Like in my AA meeting, I'm with a bunch of old Navy guys, alcoholics, and they don't understand Suboxone withdrawal. You know, I'm pretty much on my own. My family, they don't get it, even though they're all alcoholics. You know, I had a sister a couple days ago say to me, you know, I don't understand this whole thing about, you know, like why people take opiates, you know, why? She goes, I mean, the doctor gave me like Vicodin and I took it, and all it did was make me sick to my stomach and make me sleepy. I mean, I don't get it. And I was like, well, because you have different brain chemistry. Now, when I took it, the first time I took it, like I told you guys just a couple minutes ago, you know, I mean, it completely transformed me and made me a very, very, very happy person. And yeah, if I took it today or tomorrow, it would turn me into a very, very happy person. But what would happen after the aftermath? No. For some reason, the universe pays you back exponentially for making that bad decision of wanting to get high. So, you know, don't do it. All right. I'll talk to you guys later.